about as bad as you can play.
Right. Defensively.
Oh, it was terrible.
Yeah.
But I don't think that should be the determining factor whether you get in the tournament or not. It's supposed to be your whole body of work. And while their RPI was really bad and their strength of schedule was really bad, part of that was because a lot of the non-conference teams that they've essentially played the same schedule for 20 years.
Right.
So
Non-conference teams
essentially
struggle.
the same teams, yeah, and those teams struggled, unlike they normally are pretty good, and that hurt Virginia.
We'll talk about that, guys. We'll scatter shoot with Hootie Ratcliffe as golf is in full swing, not just at the university level, but a former walk-on has made a lot of momentum. And is it Paul Chang? That is just a talented golfer at the University of Virginia, former walk-on at UVA, former club golfer at UVA. We'll talk golf. We'll talk, obviously, as we head into spring, the focus is going to shift to football, ladies and gentlemen, with training camp around the corner. Still a lot to cover as we head into a slower period for Virginia athletics, the summer season, where all of us get to catch our breath a little bit. Judah Wickower is behind the camera. Viewers and listeners, give the show a like and a share anywhere you are watching the program. Let us know where you're watching the program. Ask Hootie Ratcliffe a question. We head into the summertime where we may welcome a guest or two to wax nostalgic on the Virginia Athletic Department. Ryan Odom continues to build or look to build his class for 2026. I want to talk about that with Hootie Ratcliffe. Read a little coverage on that on jerryratcliffe.com this morning. Judah, things are looking good on our end, live on YouTube, live on LinkedIn, 15 Facebook pages, 15 Twitter accounts, iTunes, Apple Podcasts, the Fountain app, the Rumble app, platforms I didn't even know we were live on. Judah Wickower's got us live on.
He's unbelievable.
Which means he is doing his job, and he's doing it well. How you feeling over there, J-Dubs? Looking all right? Okay, fantastic. We can start the program when you're ready. If you could, make sure we're live on jerryratcliffe.com. I'd like to get live on there and retweet it across our following as well. Give me a thumbs up when we are, but we'll start the program, Judah, when you're ready. I don't think so. Yeah, maybe I'm wrong. Okay. Give me a thumbs up after we start the show. I see questions already coming in for us. Okay, thank you. Oh, you are. Very, very right. Thank you. Good Tuesday morning, guys. My name is Jerry Miller, and thank you kindly for joining us on the Jerry and Jerry Show. It's a pleasure to connect with you guys through the I Love CVille network on a show that spotlights and highlights and features the Virginia Sports Hall of Famer, Jerry Hootie Ratcliffe. His website, jerryratcliffe.com, everything Virginia related, everything ACC related. We have Ryan Odom looking to continue the momentum for the class of 2026 as offers are coming out of the John Paul Jones Arena to two more top 50 prospects. We'll talk about that today. We'll talk Virginia baseball. Hootie Ratcliffe said they were screwed by the NCAA selection committee. I was certainly surprised that Virginia, which was 12-11 at one time, as you reported, 32-18, and finished 32-18 with the Cavaliers winning 12 of their last 14, got left out of the dance. Disappointing to a lot of fans. I'll ask Hootie, the showing in the ACC tournament, where the outcome wasn't great, how much of an impact that may or may not have had on the selection committee. We'll talk golf. We'll talk training camp for football. And of course, we're going to talk about that news about the NCAA lacrosse tournament coming to Charlottesville and to Scott Stadium next year, which is, as Vanessa Parkhill has put it in Earlysville, very exciting news. Good morning to you, Vanessa Parkhill. Judah Wickower is behind the camera, directing and producing the show. Judah, if you can go to the studio camera in a two-shot and welcome Hootie Ratcliffe to the program. Good Tuesday morning to you, my friend.
Good to see you, as always. A little rainy outside, but we can deal with that. Can't we?
Absolutely. I don't mind the rain. The humidity has certainly not hit us yet. We know it's coming. It's been surprisingly mild and brisk with temperatures here in Charlottesville, especially for late May.
Yeah, usually we've got a few pretty high temperature days around here this time of year, but hadn't been here yet.
I did notice it was going to be at the end of the week in the 90s, so maybe we have it coming. My friend, we start the show on a Tuesday with scatter shooting with Jerry Ratcliffe.
Well, I guess, like you said, things are starting to slow down a little bit. There's only a few sports still alive, and a lot of people are already focused on football. But I had the great pleasure late last week, and something I'm going to write about today, if not tomorrow, visiting with Laura Coughlin, the LPGA Tour representative out of Charlottesville. She and her husband, John Pond, former UVA football player, live here, make this home. And former UVA, speaking of walk-ons on the golf team, she was a walk-on and earned a scholarship and had an outstanding career here, and then struggled on the various tours and then just caught fire last year. And now, so I went out to Keswick and sat down with her. She put on an exhibition there for their members last week. And Keswick has given her some sponsorship. I guess she represents Keswick as like the home pro. And had a delightful conversation with her, lunch and interview. Jerry, she is currently ranked the number 3 American golfer in the country on the LPGA Tour, and number 15 in the world. I mean, that's a pretty giant step she took last year, winning a few tournaments, and
Including some noteworthy ones.
some very noteworthy ones. Just had a great interview. I think people who are golf fans will really enjoy the story, just listening to her story. It's an amazing story about how she wanted to give up and people wouldn't let her, and she kept fighting and just had an incredible year last year. It was unbelievable. And she's prepping right now for the Women's U.S. Open, which is coming up this week.
Golf in full swing. We'll talk Virginia golf in a matter of moments. Questions already come in. This one from the Richmond area. Have you boys talked about some of your favorite courses to play around Charlottesville and Albemarle County? That's right up Hootie Ratcliffe's alley right there.
Yeah, well,
He's played pretty much all of them.
I played them all. I probably played 400 or more courses in the country and outside the country over my time, and all over, most of them in the state of Virginia. There's a lot of good courses around here. Farmington is spectacular. It's the oldest course for sure, and great design. Same guy that built Boonesboro and Lynchburg, and it's an awesome golf course. Spring Creek is a terrific golf course. Keswick, with the updates that they've made out there, is a terrific golf course. And Birdwood, with Davis Love coming in and redoing it. It's always fun to play those. Green Hills was a lot of fun. Some of the courses up on the mountain at Wintergreen are fun. So there's a lot of cool courses around here to play.
Viewers and listeners, let us know your thoughts. Put them in the feed. We'll relay them live on air. A lot of great ones here. A lot of golfers here.
It's a strong golfing community. I'm not sure it's quite as strong as it used to be when we had the Battle Trophy competition, and COVID kind of wrecked that, as it did a lot of things. But we used to have a lot of golfers here who would compete outside of Charlottesville, and that's why we designed that competition to begin with, Kevin Reckert and myself, back in the 80s. And we had a lot of really good golfers from here that won state tournaments, and were always competitive.
What strikes you as we talk golf? How about UVA men's golf? I know that team is close to your heart. They got a couple of golfers in particular, Paul Chang and is it Josh Dwangmany, that are absolutely extremely talented. Paul Chang's story is an incredible one, from club golf and walk-on to one of the best golfers in the nation.
Yeah, his story is spectacular, and how far he came, but there's no denying talent, and he certainly displayed that, and is now one of the top golfers in the country. And, of course, Ben James, one of the best golfers, amateur golfers in the country. We'll see him for sure on the pro tour in the future. And, they're out there, I guess, is it Carlsbad, California is where they're playing?
I will let you
I
know
think that's right.
in a matter of moments here.
I may be wrong on the site, but they're playing Auburn today, I believe, in the match play.
That's right.
Third year in a row they've qualified for the match play portion of this tournament. It's top, I guess, 8 teams in the country, and they've had the misfortune the last 2 years of losing to the eventual national champion, Florida and Auburn, and we're in both matches up to the last little bit. So hopefully they can break through this year and do something special.
And his memory is right on point. Carlsbad, California, Omni La Costa Resort and Spa, and coverage underway now on the Golf Channel with the Who's toe-to-toe against the Auburn Tigers. And it should be something to follow. A Paul Chang story for you guys. Who do you knows this story? Viewers and listeners may not. Spent a lot of time over at the Boar's Head and at Birdwood. And I'd always see this young man riding a scooter. He'd ride the scooter down Ivy Road, which if anyone knows Ivy Road, it's probably not the road you want to be riding an electric scooter on.
Nope.
Sometimes this young man would have a golf bag with all his sticks in the back, riding down Ivy Road.
That's tough.
That's tough, on an electric scooter. And I'd see him turn all the time into Borson, and I'm like, who's this guy? What's going on? After half a dozen times of seeing this, I'd ask around, talk to the pro shop. I'm like, that's Paul. And Paul's looking to go from the club team to walk on. He has his dream of playing in the PGA one day. And I look over, and this young man is riding down the hill into Boar's Head with his golf bag and his sticks on his back. He'd park his scooter. He'd either go to the range or he'd play 18 holes. Knew all the guys at the club. They all knew him. And today they are following him and saluting him and giving props, some calling him the hardest worker in college golf. And now he's, in a lot of ways, the top college golf. It's just a wonderful story, Hootie.
It is a great story, and I hope the Golf Channel picks up on that, does a feature on him before they're through. But yeah, that would be a great story in any sport, but particularly in the world of golf.
It's particularly in golf.
Yeah, because what he's done is remarkable. It's a story, truly a storybook kind of career that he's had. You just don't see that happen every day.
We got to talk as we change to baseball. Goodness gracious, disappointment. The selection committee does not invite Virginia baseball into the big dance into here, and I'd like to start open-ended. You called it screwed by the NCAA selection committee here. I know this season did not begin like Brian O'Connor and the Virginia baseball team wanted. They were preseason number 2 and struggled out of the gates, probably an understatement. But to close the season, one of the hottest teams in college baseball. And I thought going into the ACC tournament, it was darn near close to a lock, especially with how they finished the campaign. Open-ended, what happened with Virginia baseball here?
Yeah, well, most of the major publications had them as a 3 seed in various regions in the country, and didn't think that they needed to do much in the ACC tournament. It boggles my mind. There are 9 ACC teams in the field. several of which finished behind Virginia, and Virginia had their way with them. And, Virginia finished a game and a half out of first place in the ACC standings. I know their RPI was low, and their non-conference schedule was not very good. I think it was number 257 in the country, but people didn't really put a lot of judgment on that in the past. They've played essentially the same schedule for 20 years. And I think O'Connor should be saluted for playing a lot of state teams. A lot of schools won't do that because they feel like it's a threat to their own program. And he'll play some teams from Northeast that are come down here to, to get away from the northeast weather or the northern weather, and they'll come down south and play a bunch of games. What's he supposed to do? Cut those people out now and play a stronger schedule? And I mean, he's in the ACC, and
historically one of the two best conferences.
Oh yeah, no question about it. I mean, look at this year's field, and you'll figure that out. ACC and SEC win just about everything, and they said, well, the ACC schedule was unbalanced. Well, you play the schedule that you're dealt. You don't have a choice, and they did a pretty darn good job with it. So I just don't feel like that they got the benefit of the doubt on anything, particularly to me. I think it's the first time since 1994 that an ACC team has finished above 500 the way Virginia has and been left out of the tournament. It's just, there's no explanation for that in my mind. I think they got screwed.
I think there was I totally agree with you. Two things jumped out to me. They didn't have a chance to play Florida State.
Exactly.
There was a shooting in Tallahassee.
And they were the number 2 team in the conference.
2 team in the ACC.
Yeah.
And that's when Virginia was red hot.
Yes.
And that was an opportunity to win on the road in Tallahassee against a perennial power to pad their resume. So those 3 games removed from the schedule because of tragic shooting in Tallahassee. Second thing stood out to me. They finished the season, as you highlighted in your column, 32-18, with UVA winning 12 of their last 14 games. They beat Georgia Tech in a series. They beat Miami in a series. They road series against Virginia Tech. I wonder how much emphasis was put on the showing in the ACC tournament.
Well, there shouldn't have been if the committee was doing its due diligence, because one game shouldn't make or break a season. I know they played an awful game against Boston College in the tournament, but it's supposed to be your body of work, not how you did in one postseason or one conference tournament game. If they use that as the determining factor, then they made a huge mistake.
Huge mistake. Totally agree. Chad Wood's watching the program in Crozet. He bleeds orange and blue. He's in agreement with what we're saying. They took Miami over Virginia, and Virginia swept Miami.
Absolutely.
He also says, we did not get in because of that shooting in Tallahassee. The RPI would have jumped 20-ish points just by playing the games.
Right.
If you win or you go 1-2, it probably jumps 30 to 40 points. It's absolutely ridiculous that Virginia did not get in.
I totally agree. I think Chad hit it right on the nose. The committee said that they discussed it and it was a shame, but I don't think they gave Virginia much leeway there, and I think that was a mistake. I know the the NCAA basketball committee looks at such things, or has in the past, and they take that under consideration. I don't think the baseball committee took it under consideration at all.
Bob Shada is watching the program. Bob Shada, would love to hear your Paul Chang story. We've dubbed Bob Shada the mayor of Birdwood over there. He knows that course inside and out. Paul Chang riding an electric scooter with his golf bag and sticks into Boar's Head to try to earn a varsity spot on the UVA golf team. Jeremy Wilson is watching the program in Eastern Tennessee. He says, this continues the lack of respect Virginia sports seem to get nationally. Jeremy Wilson also says, how much of the baseball roster will return? Hansett, Ford, Teal. He's wondering about all the talent, whether or not they will return. It's a good question. The team on paper was stacked with talent.
Yeah, I'm not sure the pitching staff lived up to the expectations, and I think that hurt Virginia, especially early on when they were struggling. But as far as positions, they were stacked. They had tremendous talent, and some of those guys struggled early on until their bats came alive. And when they did, you saw the result. I think they won 20 of their last 24, something like that. But I don't know. Some of these guys will definitely be in the draft. That just depends on
where they're picked.
And if it's worth going now or trying to come back for a year and improve their stock. But they'll probably lose some of these guys, I would think.
Absolutely. Interestingly, intriguingly, maybe coincidentally, but worth noting, there's a press conference today at 12:30. Brian O'Connor has a press conference today at 12:30.
Yeah, not so much as a press conference. He just has a little gathering, usually out on the field or around one of the dugouts. If it's raining today, I guess we'll be forced inside. But we found they put out a notice last night that he was going to be talking to us at 12:30. I don't know if it's to voice his displeasure over what happened or if there may be something else going on that we're not aware of. But I'll be over there at 12:30 at Disharoon Park to see what's up.
What do you? I would think he's a classy guy, so maybe. I mean, I'm sure there's displeasure right now at Disharoon Park.
Oh, there should be,
and it's meritable. But the man epitomizes class. Curious to see what happens at 12:30. What's your hunch indicate?
I think he'll just try to explain what happened in his view, and I think we all pretty much know. But it'll be interesting to hear his take on it if that's what it's about, which I assume that's what it is.
Comments coming in. Viewers and listeners, let us know your thoughts, and we'll relay them live on air. This is an interesting one. Who do you think any changes need to happen with Virginia baseball?
I don't really think so. I know there's been some heat on Dickinson, the pitching coach. A lot of people have
it's been persistent heat.
Voiced some displeasure with the way the pitching staff has performed the last couple of years, particularly this year.
When they seem on paper to have arms, there's talent on that in that bullpen.
To a degree, I think, but I think maybe they've made some choices in some of the transfer guys that haven't panned out to be as good as maybe they thought they would be. So I don't know. We'll see. But that's if there's any change, I think that's where it would be. But O'Connor is a guy who's very loyal to his staff. I don't know that we'll see anything like that happening.
I totally agree. Comments continue to come in. Is this an end of the Jay Woolfolk era?
I would imagine so. He had a pretty good year, and
he's got a lot of upside. He's got some things he's got to work on. He's
does.
Got a lot of upside.
He does, and that's what minor league baseball is all about: is taking a guy and try to help him improve and get better. I mean, as good as Andrew Abbott was, it took some time in the minor leagues to to get his arm to where the Reds wanted it, and he's been terrific ever since he joined the organization. So, but I'm pretty sure we've seen the end of Jay.
Randy O'Neill, welcome to the broadcast. Here's an intriguing comment. I think I know where you're going to go with this answer. With the benefit of hindsight, and now that we know with his baseball career how it's finished, did Woolfolk make the right move, leaving football behind for baseball?
I don't think there's any question about it. He's got a pretty strong arm, and there's not a lot of pitchers that throw
gas
with the velocity that he has. And, he had some struggles, some demons he had to exercise last year to get to where he wanted to be at the end of the season. He's been pretty steady this year. But I don't think had he stayed in football that he would have ended up being the starting quarterback.
Because that would have overlapped with the Calandria era.
Yeah.
And there was an opportunity to grab the job.
Right.
Not sure he was talented enough to surpass Calandria, although Calandria had his ups and downs.
He did. I think Jay was it's tough to play two sports, and especially divide your spring up with spring football practice and be a viable baseball player. And I thought his gift was as a dual threat quarterback. He could do a lot of damage with his legs. I don't know how he would have developed as a passer over time. I just have a feeling that it wouldn't have worked out as well as some people might have hoped it would. And I think he unquestionably made the right decision.
Benedictines, Jay Woolfolk. We saw one glimpse of Woolfolk in football, and I believe that was when Brennan Armstrong got injured at BYU.
Yeah, had his ribs cracked.
Correct,
something.
right.
Yeah.
And then Woolfolk came in, I think it was home against Notre Dame.
Yeah, he was the first freshman to start at quarterback in a long time for Virginia, and he started against Notre Dame in that game.
Throw into the Lion's Den night.
That's a pretty tough way to break in your
Scott
career.
Stadium under the lights at night on national TV.
Yeah, that was tough.
And then we never saw anything else.
That was a tough ask for him to be able to come in under those circumstances. And Armstrong was back shortly after that, not quite 100%, but he did okay in that game, all things considered. But I think it also showed him that
this is big time college football.
Yeah, this is big time college football, and you're going to get hit a lot. And I don't think he told me he wasn't real crazy about that. So I think he made the right choice.
Claudia Garrett Morris watching in Henrico. Claudia, thank you for watching the show. Barbara Becker Tilley watching the program. Thank you, Barbara, for watching the program. This is an interesting comment, and I understand it's raw right now, so maybe this is inspiring a lot of the comments. And is anything encouraged from the athletic department with this Virginia baseball team? Guys, Virginia baseball is one of the most consistent and the premier programs in all of college sports. I understand the season did not go according to plan, but the head coach we trust in. And the commenter is making the link to what happened with Tony Bennett from national championship over the last handful of years where the team has struggled and is trying to make a parallel with the baseball program. I think it's too early to make a parallel like that.
Yeah, I mean, they've been in the NCAA tournament almost every year that Brian O'Connor's been here. Been to College World Series 5 times. It's like won the national championship. It's like being to the Final Four, essentially 5 times. And I mean, there's lots of really good programs that have come after O'Connor year after year, and he's
including this year,
Mississippi State, last year Texas A&M, year before that LSU. This guy's a hot commodity. He could coach anywhere in the country that he wanted to, and he's happy here. He loves the community. He loves the university.
I should say the community loves Brian O'Connor.
Yeah, they do. And he loves what they've done with the stadium. They keep trying to make improvements for the fans. I mean, who knows? You never know what's going on inside a coach's head. And, he's been around for a while. If they're alluding to the fact that maybe he's fed up with NIL and all that stuff and is ready to hang it up, there's been no clue of that. At least Tony complained about it openly for a year or two. I haven't heard anything like that coming from O'Connor. So I think that's a little premature. I could be wrong. He could shock us today and say he's going to hang it up, but I don't think so.
I think there would be a little more pomp and circumstance if that was the case.
Yeah, I do too. I think this is just
dot the I's and cross the T's on the season.
Yeah, exactly. I think you hit it right on the head.
It's basically the exit. I don't want to call it an exit interview, but a lot of teams do an exit process where the coaches and players are meeting. It's what Brian O'Connor is doing with the media because he respects you guys so much.
Yeah, and normally we would have this after in
Omaha,
a victory or a loss in the postseason. So didn't have that opportunity this year.
Cliff Daisy says, "Good morning, gentlemen. Late arriving, but wish you both the best. 88 degrees, 88 days, give or take, to the start of college football." Cliff, we appreciate you watching.
Too soon
On the Eastern Shore. Yeah, it's very
not ready
soon.
for that.
It's very. This is the hiatus period that content creators and sports writers and columnists very much appreciate as they recharge and, to Hootie's case, often play some golf in the summertime to get those batteries going back again. We will talk football. We will talk Ryan Odom building the 2026 class. Some comments continue to come in on Virginia baseball. It's still very raw for this team. How about this question right here? Was it pitching, defense, or the offense, or all the above that Hootie thought let this team down?
Well, the defense wasn't what it normally is. They're usually among the top defensive teams in the country. And this year they just didn't put that together like they know. Would they have 5 errors in the Boston College game, I think, and had a lot of stolen. I think BC had a bunch of stolen bases, and so the defense wasn't quite on par with what we're accustomed to. Nor was the pitching, I don't think, until maybe down the stretch it strengthened up. But I think. When they were struggling, I think a lot of guys were struggling with control. They put a lot of people on base, and that will hurt you big time. So I think both of those things were not on par with what we've normally seen over the years. And I think it came back to bite them.
I'd also like to highlight having the Boston College game in the ACC tournament. First pitch just around 10:30 p.m. on a Wednesday night.
That was a little bizarre. It wasn't over until 2:19 in the morning,
yeah.
I think.
Give me a break, guys. I mean,
I don't know about you, but I don't know if I think I could go out and play very well at 2 o'clock in the morning.
It's 2 o'clock in the morning, and the guys are playing college baseball on a Wednesday night.
Shame on the ACC.
Yeah.
But the game the night before did this. It was the same thing.
Right.
The fourth
they got to
game,
figure the
you
schedule
can't
out.
play 4 games in one day. You
especially
just can't do
baseball.
that. No, you can't do that.
Yeah. I mean, goodness.
That's ridiculous.
It is absolutely ridiculous.
They should have known better.
Absolutely. All right, Virginia football, guys. We'll talk football for the viewers and listeners here. Less than 3 months, Hootie.
Oh, yeah.
College football.
Yeah, less than 3 months. And I'm as big a football guy as there is, although the way things have been with the NIL and transfer portal, it's taken a little of my enthusiasm away from the sport. But it'll be pretty soon now, not in a couple of weeks. A lot of these guys will be coming in for summer school, and they'll be working out on their own and going through the summer conditioning program, which is allowed by the NCAA. So the strength and conditioning coaches will have control of those guys and be whipping them into shape. And they can work out on their own doing skeleton drills and 7-on-7 and all that stuff. So they're going to be pretty active pretty soon. And I imagine trying to build some chemistry, build a bond. I was watching a video the other day of John Gruden bringing in some players to his facility down in, I guess it's down in Florida. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's down in Florida, around Tampa. And Ante Calandria, believe it or not, now at UNLV, was one of the guys down there, and he was showing him around the offices and stuff, and Gruden was saying, now is the time for you to start building that bond with your receivers over the summer and separating yourself from your competition. So same holds true for these guys. Virginia's quarterbacks and receivers are going to be out working hard, trying to build that connection to where they can read each other's minds pretty much on pass routes and what happens when things break down and where do you want the ball, that sort of thing. So that will be coming very soon, and it won't be long until training camp opens. That's for sure.
And you talk about that bond. Calandria did that when he was here in Charlottesville.
He did, yes.
Wide receivers, I think, followed him to Florida for some summertime workouts where he was building rapport with some of his pass catchers. When we're talking, and we've covered this very closely, Virginia football, I think everyone's going to be watching to see how Tony Elliott and his coaching staff get this team, which is basically a bunch of free agents, lack of a better phrase here.
Yeah.
Free agents, nomads, if you want to call them. I mean, it's the nature of college football. How he can get them in a very short period of time in a cohesive playbook, running a system that they have a lot of inexperience running. It's a new system for a lot of these guys. And it's going to start at quarterback. The thing that I find reassuring, I think is the word I'm looking for, reassuring with quarterback play, is the starter is nomadic in his time in college football. So for him to come to Charlottesville not knowing the system, well, this is not his first stop. He's been doing that quite a bit here. So this is maybe one of his strengths.
Yeah, I think he will adapt pretty quickly if he hasn't already. Very smart kid. A coach's son. He's had 4 or 5 different offensive coordinators' systems that he's had to learn through his travels. And again, he's a very savvy kid. I think he probably already knows the playbook inside and out, would be my guess. And certainly he has proven he can throw the ball. And I think a lot of it now is just building chemistry and hoping that offensive line can gel and keep him clean, so he won't have to be scrambling for his life like Calandria did the last 2 years.
Chandler Morris started his collegiate career at Oklahoma, transferred to TCU for a couple of seasons, 3 seasons, and from TCU to North Texas. Really came into his own at North Texas, where he was named a team captain in his lone season at North Texas, was second team All-AAC, and is now the heir apparent for Anthony Calandria at the University of Virginia. And this team's going to go as the quarterback play goes, as Chandler Morris goes, and he's going to go as the offensive line goes. But there's a lot more talent and depth at the O-line position than in years past. Interesting comments come in here. Who is the defensive standout that Hootie thinks will lead this team now that they've lost the talented safety to the National Football League?
I think it's automatic that it's going to be Cam Robinson, the linebacker. Started as a true freshman. Last year, got even better. He said the game had slowed down for him, and he was much more comfortable in his role. And I think this could be a really breakout year for him, big time. natural leader, intelligent kid, plays hard, plenty of talent, and a guy that the rest of the players look up to. So I think it's his defense, really. And, he's bringing 2 years of experience in, and I think that's it's going to be his team and on that side of the ball.
Comments coming in here. We promise we'll get to UVA named the host of the 2026 Men's Lacrosse Championship. Tickets available. We'll get to that here in a matter of moments. We got commenters following golf here. I've never seen golf get this much attention here. UVA is the only school to reach the match play portion in the last 3 years. The only one in collegiate golf is UVA to reach the match play round the last 3 years is UVA. But we'll talk a little bit more football here. This is an interesting one. You guys talk offense, you guys talk defense, quarterback play, and offensive line. How about some special teams talk? Is it a strength? Is it a weakness for Tony Elliott?
Well, they got better last year. 2 years ago, it was definitely a weakness. They made some strides last year. It still wasn't where he would like it to be. But I think it could be a strength this year. There's a lot of dynamic guys that could be returners, kickoff and punt returners. Although punt returners nowadays, the way teams play, you really don't get much of a chance. You're usually surrounded by the time that you catch the ball. But I think it could be a strength this year if they get the right people in the right places. But they've got some experience coming back in those units, and you're always kind of starting over, and it's a good way to get on the field if you're a young player. And even if you're not if you're a veteran player, it's needed. Your experience and your leadership is needed even on the special teams too. But it's a good way for young kids to get on the field if they aren't getting much playing time in positional play, but they can make a difference on special teams.
The opener, Coastal Carolina, the 30th of August, guys, in Scott Stadium. So legitimately, you look at the days here, we're less than 90 days and counting until the Chanticleers.
Yep.
Coastal Carolina. Chanticleer is it a bird?
It's a chicken.
It's a chicken.
A rooster.
Did you know it was Chanticleer?
A rooster.
Oh, Judah knows everything over here. It's like, come on, Jerry. You know it's a rooster. Judah rolled his eyes at me over here. It's a rooster. Okay, sorry about that, Judah. Chanticleers hit Scott Stadium on the 30th of August. All right, we will get to Ryan Odom, and then I'll get some of these questions that are coming in here. Hootie Ratcliffe on JerryRatcliffe.com has got some coverage on Odom, offering 2 more top 50 prospects, Hootie, for the class of 2026. A guard and a small forward.
Yeah, I'll have to get up my cheat sheet here because
you might also have to get out your it's another last name where we need hooked on phonics to be able to pronounce this one here. Colby Giacobeno. I'm butchering that right there. Goodness gracious.
I think it's Giacobino. Giacobino.
Okay.
Giacobino, I think. He's 4-star, 6'4" guard. Scorer, naturally. He plays for, he's originally from Pennsylvania, I believe, but he's playing for Wasatch Academy out in Utah, where Odom and his staff have obvious roots, having coached at Utah State a few years ago. He's right on the line of being a top 50 prospect according to the composite ratings, and I think around number 51. Number 7 shooting guard in the country for his class. Number 2 prospect in the state of Utah. Certainly being courted. He's averaging about 14 points and 7 rebounds a game. Everybody in the world is after him. UConn, Purdue, BYU, Houston, Maryland, Tennessee, TCU, Texas A&M, Utah State, Mississippi State, Stanford, Nebraska, Arizona State, Cal, Minnesota, and that list is going to grow as the summer goes on. Yeah, these guys are when the AAU season really kicks in, and the evaluation period is going on, and so they're definitely being courted by a lot of schools, and will continue to do so. And the other kid, I think his name is Foster.
Luca Foster.
Yeah, Luca Foster. Also a 4'6'5" swing player, ranked number 33 in the country at any position by 247 Sports, and the number 14 small forward and the top prospect in the state of Missouri. He's got good numbers, and a lot of schools are after him as well. I think actually he's the one who is from Pennsylvania. He played in the Philadelphia Catholic League at Bishop Carroll, and he's playing at Link Academy in Branson, Missouri right now. A lot of these guys will go to these academies, these private schools that play national schedules, like Oak Hill Academy in Southwest Virginia. But he's another big time recruit, and I imagine people are going to come after him pretty hard as well.
Not bad.
I think those are the fifth and sixth guys that we're aware of that they've offered already.
I mean, he's going after some talent. He's got the money to offer. He's got the facilities to offer. He's hungry. He's got serious scholarship offers out to some very talented players.
Yeah, it must be fun for him too, because now, unlike the schools he's been at before, he can go out after these four-star kids, and he's got plenty of money to get in the game and be a player with them, and going after talent that he probably could only dream of landing before. But there's no holds barred now that he should be able to bring in talent year after year.
Interesting question here for Hootie. This one's from the Richmond area. Which head coach has more pressure this season, Ryan Odom or Tony Elliott?
I think Tony Elliott does, because it's his fourth year. Usually coaches by the fourth year, they're going to get it done or they're not. And so I think there's a lot of pressure on him and his staff to definitely get into a bowl game, if not have a winning season. And there's pressure on Odom, but it's a different kind of pressure, I think. I mean, he's just starting out here, and he's had to rebuild the entire team from scratch. New system, a new coaching staff. Well, not new to him, but new to the fans. I think he'll have a honeymoon with the Wahoo Nation, so to speak. Tony Elliott's honeymoon is over.
Yeah,
he's got to produce, and there's some of the national publications who rate coaches have not been kind to him, or to Brent Pry down at Virginia Tech. Pressure on him as well, I think. They're both in their fourth year, right?
Mm-hmm. That's correct. I think both coaches, it's make or break this year. Interestingly, if it does not go according to plan for either UVA or Virginia Tech, you may see both schools looking to replace its head coach and an entire coaching staff. When's the last time that's been done at the same time?
Well, I think it did 4 years ago.
Right, Tony Elliott and Brent Pry. That's right. That's right. So you look at this team and you Tony Elliott clearly has the most pressure. The question is with Ryan Odom, if things don't go according to plan right out of the gates, and comments are coming in here, how much does the pressure build up with the new seat licensing plan that's coming out?
Well, I don't think that's on his mind. I think he just wants to win and restore Virginia basketball to where it was. And certainly he's acquired a lot of talent so far, and his job and his coaching staff's job is going to be similar to Tony Elliott. So they've got to get these guys on the same page and make them a cohesive machine. It's not like the rest of the ACC sitting still out there and letting Virginia catch up. They're trying to rearm as well, and so it won't be easy. But I think it'll be a fun style of basketball to watch. But it's more than just scoring. You got to win. I mean, we saw a lot of scoring with Pete Gillen's teams.
Just couldn't play any defense.
But they just couldn't get over the hump. They only went to one NCAA tournament in that entire time, and so it's more than just scoring. You got to play defense, and you got to win. You got to grind it out and win. And I think Ryan Odom knows how to do that.
James Watson watching the program. He's a fantastic supporter of the Virginia Athletic Department. He says I'm pretty excited to see how basketball plays out. I do not think I ever remember seeing this many guys on our roster. It'd be interesting to know how the behind-the-scenes business gurus determine how much money they can continue to spend to support this many players and how they plan to retain them and sustain this level of spending.
Well, I'm sure they have their formulas. I'm not privy to it. That's a story I'd like to do sometime later this year. And I asked Tony Elliott about it one day, but during the spring, how is it you evaluate these guys, their worth, their NIL worth? And he said he doesn't get involved in that too much, that he leaves it up to essentially the general manager of the football team and his people. And I guess there must be some kind of a guidebook of some sort out there to I don't know how in the world you do that. It's not like the NFL where you have people that have done this for a living, evaluating talent and seeing how much they're worth, and agents and all that stuff. And maybe agents have something to do with it on this level too. That will come to your school for X amount. This is the price tag on this kid. It'll be an interesting story to see how they do that and go about evaluating the worth of some of these guys. But I think the money will be there for Virginia. I think that's pretty set in stone now, and everybody's waiting on this settlement to come down, and that will have some bearing on all of it. And a lot of people believe that at some point, we were going to talk about this last week, but we never really had time. Some people believe they're going to spend all the money they can while they can because they think there's going to be a cap put on all this stuff.
$20.5 million.
Yeah, and
but interestingly, the cap is, and James and I were pinging each other back and forth about this through direct message. The cap is what schools can allocate to their players. You can still have private entities allocate NIL money to players.
Right.
So like James put this on my radar. Texas A&M has a billionaire benefactor. Mm-hmm. He played football at one time at Texas A&M. They got into the oil business. He's got a collective that he's the head of, an NIL collective. Interestingly, he's also on the Texas A&M Board of Visitors as the chairperson. So he's kind of directing the school from two different ways. And while that cap, it's basically like a cap you would see in pro sports, is $20,500,000 of what can be allocated to players. A private collective that's not tied to the university could also influence recruiting and who comes to the school through their fundraising and allocation. So a school like Texas A&M is basically trying to buy players. Mm-hmm. And look at what they've done. They just dished out $1 million for a softball player.
Yeah. Look at SMU. We've talked about the kind of money in that program. A lot of those Texas schools have a lot of oil money in their hip pocket. So not all schools are that lucky. But we've talked about Trump and Saban getting together, and I think Trump is appointing a commission to study all this. I think at some point they're going to come to their senses and put a cap on all this stuff. And to make it more equitable for the entire NCAA field, Division I or power football or whatever you want to call it.
They need to.
It just can't sustain itself the way it is now because it would be like the NFL if you didn't have any salary caps or anything like that. The big money teams could dominate the sport, and the others wouldn't have a chance.
This comment's come in. It's a good one. Did you guys see the news of Mark Packer retiring?
I did see that. It's nice to see that he's doing it on his own. A lot of people don't get to call their own shot, particularly in that industry. I think he said he's 62 or 63 years old and healthy and wants to.
He's been on the grind.
He
of
has.
Late.
Yeah, he did radio shows for a long time in Charlotte, and then got
through
with the ACC network.
Yep.
With my friend Wes Durham. And
yep.
I thought their show was really
fantastic.
Good.
Yeah.
I haven't really liked the change that they made. But he's grinded it out, and son of Billy Packer, and knows a lot about the ACC, and will take a lot of that knowledge with him when he retires. I don't know who they would replace him with, really. And he wants to do some things. He wants to live his life and go travel with his wife and do some things that interest him other than sitting in his basement all the time.
Doing a talk show.
Doing the talk show.
And of late, he's been calling a lot of games as well, guys, as a play-by-play guy. Hootie Ratcliffe, JerryRatcliffe.com. What do you have in the hopper?
Well, we're going to do some golf. Actually, we're going to have a nice story on Lauren Coughlin that talked about getting up with her last week.
How about your boy Bowen Sargent?
I'm so happy for him. It's the reason that they have been in match play for 3 straight years is his hard work, along with his assistant Dustin Groves, a local kid,
Monticello High School.
Yep, and they've built an incredible program over there, and he's up for National Coach of the Year, and well deserved. Would love to see him win that. And I know a lot of the old time golfers in the Virginia golf program. One of them is a friend of mine. He lives out in San Francisco. He's played back in the 50s, I think, and probably ought to do something on him with his permission. But he was talking about how much it meant to him to see Virginia win the ACC championship recently, their first championship, because he had a chance to do that during his career and didn't get it done. But we'll be doing some of that. Still keeping our eye on the portal. I don't know if there's still some basketball slots to be filled, and I don't know. It'll be interesting to see if the Colorado running back that came here decommitted last week. I think he had some issues with credits that wouldn't transfer, so he couldn't get into school here. So it'll be interesting to see if they're still going to be trying to bring in maybe another running back. I don't know. But going to be doing something on the local First Tee program, which is a credit to our community. They do a great job with kids, not just teaching them golf, but how to live and how to be better citizens. And be doing something on that and some other things in the hopper. So be plenty of stuff, plenty of content on the website.
JerryRatcliffe.com. He's going to be at the Dish today at 12:30 to chat with Coach Brian O'Connor. Check out JerryRatcliffe.com, guys. The basketball coverage has been fantastic. All the coverage is fantastic. Very much enjoy the basketball coverage. James Watson, yes, that was the guy Dion was talking about. Never even made it to Charlottesville.
Yeah.
Never even made it to Charlottesville.
And the lacrosse thing that we mentioned.
That's
going to be a big deal.
A huge deal.
I've been to a few of the Final Fours.
Talking 25,000, 30,000 people.
Whatever. Been to Baltimore and Philadelphia and some of those venues at pro football stadiums. And, You're right. It seems like it grows every year. 40,000 people coming to town for a weekend of high caliber lacrosse.
I was having this conversation with someone who played lacrosse at the Naval Academy, talented player at the Naval Academy. He said doing it at a college stadium like Scott Stadium, way better than doing it at a pro stadium. He said you do it at a pro stadium, it looks half empty, maybe. And he says there's a boatload of people there. You do it at a college stadium, it's going to look completely packed. The energy is going to be at a different level. And he's like, I would much rather play in front of a packed, smaller stadium than in a half-empty, huge stadium.
That's a good point.
Which is a good point. And he also
those stadiums are cavernous.
Right. And he also highlighted that the fans that go to this, that go to lacrosse championship, they stay sticky for a few days. It's not just coming in to support one team. They're there for like an entire lacrosse extravaganza.
Yeah.
So he's like, this will be a huge uptick for the local economy.
Oh, no question about it. No question. The restaurateurs and the hotel people will be wearing a big smile that weekend.
Absolutely. Judah Wickhauer is always wearing a big smile. We're looking at that big smile from Judah. Judah. He's the director and producer of the show. Jerry Ratcliffe, guys, the star, jerryratcliffe.com. My name is Jerry Miller. The show is archived wherever you get your podcasting content, wherever you get your social media content. We appreciate the questions and comments that came in here on the last Tuesday of May in 2025 on the Jerry and Jerry Show. Thank you kindly for joining us. The I Love CVille show is up at 12:30 p.m.